fix that.
And True Sports episode 26 is on the air. I'm Taylor. He's Lewis. Michigan beats Ohio State on the road for the first time since 2000. Let's kick it off with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you see that game?
Oh yeah, it was kind of like a chess match at first, back and forth, and I really thought it was going to carry out the whole way, but Michigan just seemed to find its footing in the second half and put Ohio State to shame right on their own home turf. I didn't see that coming at all.
Me neither. But
yeah,
I didn't see the 28-3 outscoring of Michigan by Michigan of Ohio State.
right.
I expected this whole game to be a 60-minute toe-to-toe fight.
Sure.
But it only lasted in the first half.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay.
Ohio State managed to score only managed to score 3 points in the second half. Can you believe that?
3 points. Now that is pathetic, considering how much they scored
against
an
arch rival.
Exactly. That's been even worse.
Wow.
Boy.
The tables have completely turned.
I'll say.
Michigan dominated and earned that victory, while Ohio State just flat out shot themselves in the foot.
And other places as well.
Yeah, other parts of the body.
That I won't mention on the air.
Well, at least I control my own speech. But Michigan goes all the way up to 2 in all the rankings polls, including the coaches, the AP, and now the college football playoff. Understandably, they still have to go through the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs.
Good luck.
Now, we remember what happened last year in the college football playoff semifinal between Georgia and Michigan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's because Georgia had more experience in the elite/college football playoff competition level than Michigan. That was Michigan's last season was Michigan's first time ever in that school in this era. But now Michigan, right now, as far as I'm concerned, Michigan has a better shot. Even without Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo, and Hassan Haskins and Zach Charbonneau.
When you said the era, you mean the BCS era, correct?
Not just the BCS, but the college football playoff era.
Right. That's right. That's the college football playoff era. It doesn't go back too far, but I assume that's what you meant.
Yeah, Michigan. This is the first time that the Michigan Wolverines have finished their regular season undefeated since 1997, when they won at least a share of the national title.
I remember that.
But now there is no share of the national title anymore. The college football playoff is here.
Well, I think that's why it was created in the first place, so they wouldn't have to share the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes sense. The fight over who's the champ.
Yeah. Shares like that were never fair to begin with.
No, not at all. As someone's been playing college football for like 35 years or so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But between Michigan and Georgia, that's the point I want to get to. There are spoiled, rotten Michigan fans that want their football team to be wanted their football team to be number one over Georgia. They're just absolutely spoiled. You see, you got to earn that top spot by beating Georgia and winning the national title in the same season to earn that number one spot in all the polls, especially the college football playoff rankings. So it's that simple. I know Michigan has a shot. I know they can do it.
Yeah.
But it's not guaranteed. It's still a
Oh
battle.
no.
Michigan has to bring their A game, play 60 minutes, come up with game plans, use all their weapons. Michigan did that against Ohio State even without Blake Corum, a Heisman candidate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they outscored Ohio State 28-3 in the second half without Blake Corum. He only had 2 carries, 6 total rushing yards
Oof.
after he got injured. Yeah, and that shows what, and that's the type of argument, the point of argument that fans would make, Michigan fans would make, in their case that Michigan should be number one, but still got to go through the defending champs. Still a fair game as
Yes.
far as Georgia is concerned. They took care of conference opponents. That's well, Georgia is just too much, was just way too much for each opponent,
Hmm.
understandably, but this was not. This is not guaranteed that this doesn't guarantee that Michigan would be
No.
number one over Georgia.
Georgia's too tough this year on that, and it's going to be that. So it's still easily because they're still undefeated and whatnot, and they're still worthy of the number one ranking. But I gotta give Michigan
Yeah,
credit for getting number two.
yeah. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see that rematch.
Oh yeah.
Last season, Michigan just wasn't quite that ready. This year, Michigan
No,
might be more. This year, Michigan might be more ready for that elite competition level.
I would think so too.
Yep.
Well, they better be.
hmm So Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC in the top four. Let me see here. Um, I need to look. I need to look something up here. Uh, let's take a look. There we go. Ohio State drops to number 5 in the college football playoff. Where's who is number 6? Alabama is number
Bama.
6.
And of course, Nick Saban was, complaining about, oh, this is not fair. We need to get more teams in. Yeah, just saying so that you can have a shot maybe at the college football playoff. Quit your whining and complaining. You lost. You lost 2 games. You don't deserve to be in the college football championship. Plain and simple.
Yeah. No they don't.
What a wuss.
Yeah. I would remain within range to still qualify for the postseason tournament. The Buckeyes
Mhm.
remain within range to still qualify for the postseason tournament should an upset or two take place during conference championship weekend. Michigan has a date with Purdue in Indianapolis. Purdue is 8-4, but even if it was a trap game, Michigan would still win. So
Yeah.
yeah, I believe that would be that and Ed Smith and I will preview. We'll talk things over and preview and analyze the Big Ten championship game against Purdue on our Michigan Sports Truth podcast on Twitter Spaces at Michigan_Truth. So, how about that World Cup round of 32? U.S. beat
Oh
Iran
yeah.
1-0.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Can't get
think
much better than
Pulisic
that.
scored the only goal and then got hurt.
Yeah. Abdominal injury. Yeesh.
Yeah, but Netherlands was, even if Pulisic played against Netherlands would still be the favorite.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I don't expect USA to even come close to winning the world, winning the whole damn thing.
No, I
So
mean, because Netherlands, that's a powerhouse team, right? There and where they are, and we're just like, well, I don't know if I use the term a second-rate soccer team, but they're too tough, and I don't know if we have enough weapons to get past them.
right. So yeah. Did you watch the Thanksgiving game, NFL
Which,
games?
yes, I did. I saw Buffalo and Detroit, and I saw Dallas give a whoop to the Giants. Love it.
And then the Patriots and Vikings. Your thoughts on that?
Yep. Patriots and Vikings. Well, Vikings are showing how competitive they are this year. And like I said, the Patriots. This is not Tom Brady's Patriots. So although they're holding up their own right now, this is not the same team as they were. The Vikings are going to be going up against my Jets this weekend, so that scares me a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, yuck.
Mm-hmm.
You get the picture.
Yeah, and then yep. So I I believe that the rest will come into your True Sports Report, which begins now. Lewis, take it away.
All right, so here we go, folks. As we mentioned, we had some World Cup action today. We'll start off with, of course, the U.S. being over Iran, 1-0 in a shocker. Christian Pulisic gets the goal in the 38th minute, but of course it comes with a price as he suffered an abdominal injury. But nevertheless, he says, for Saturday, I'm ready. I'll be there, whether you believe it or not. Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, that was a pretty significant injury, if I do say so myself. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But I'm hoping he does come back in. Other scores were
If he
Senegal over.
does, it's on.
It's on, and that game was Saturday at 10 o'clock. Thank God. Senegal over Ecuador 2-1. The Netherlands over Qatar 2-0. They're horrible. And in the Battle of the Border, England over Wales 3-0. They are very close in proximity, as most of you know. Tomorrow's schedule: Australia will take on Denmark, and probably something is rotten in Denmark. Oh boy. Tunisia takes on France, and Portland takes on Argentina, and Saudi Arabia takes on Mexico. So good luck with that one. All right. Of course, we have other scores with the NHL. We got some early scores right now. Just a second here. As the Flyers over the Islanders 3-1 right now. The Hurricanes over the Pens 3-2 in overtime. The Sharks blanked the Habs 4-0, and the Bruins over the Lightning 3-1. And I'll tell you right now, that Bruins team is dangerous because they keep on winning. They set a record for most home wins to start a season at 13-0. They broke a long-standing record that was held by the Chicago Blackhawks back in the 62-63 season. And despite that, they didn't even win the whole thing because that went to Toronto that year. So just because you get off to a good start does not mean you're going to win the whole thing. So, but yeah, I have to give the Bruins credit, even though I'm not a Bruins fan, but I know a lot of people that are. Yuck. But I do give credit where credit is due. And they are holding their own this season. With that, it's it's just unbearable. And the Devils, of course, are doing well too. They have now won 3 straight after losing over on this past week, and they were on the way to setting a record for the most wins in franchise history. They were winning close to 13, but that was stopped on the night before Thanksgiving. On the night before Thanksgiving, and but they are starting a new winning streak as they also defeated my Rangers last night, 5-3. Well, it makes my nephew happy because he has become a Devils fan. For what reason I have no idea, but he has become a fan, and he enjoyed the win last night. Yeah, he's only 18. What does he know about hockey? Oh boy. All right. So in other scores, we have the Flames leading the Panthers 4-2 at the end of the second period. The Capitals over the Canucks 3-1 right now. That's at the end of the first. The Kings over the Kraken 1-0, just getting underway. And all the rest of their finals. Oh, we have another final that just came in. The Predators, or as I call them, the Yahoos, over the Ducks 2-1. All right.
Ducks suck.
So,
Ducks suck.
yes, they do. It's something to get quacked up over either. Oh, okay. Moving on. Yeah. Anaheim was doing terrible this year, but yet they beat the Rangers on Wednesday night anyway. How, I'll never know. Ugh. All right. So for tomorrow's schedule, it goes like this. It's a short schedule, so listen carefully. The Sabres will take on your Red Wings. That's a 7 o'clock game. Also, 7 o'clock
TNT.
will be the. That's true. TNT. Rangers will take on the Senators at 7. The Sharks will take on the Leafs at 7. And also on TNT at 9:30 will be the Oilers versus the Blackhawks. Mm-hmm. Well, the Oilers are. Yeah, they haven't done anything in a long time either. It's amazing how some teams can just. No, actually, it's sad that how some teams can just suck year after year, despite whatever, transitions get made in the off season and whatnot, and you still can't, get a decent season. I know you all think I'm crazy for saying that, but it just seems like it's like some teams are just, well, shall we say, cursed, as the case may be, because you see these teams that try with all their might and they still can't. They still can't win. So that's how that works. And right now, we're dealing with a game from Michigan, as Michigan is leading number 3 Virginia 52-50 right now. 14:23 to go in the second quarter. Hey, I think I like this. All right, so of course we got more scores going. The Mavericks over the Warriors 116-113. Curry scored 32 points. The Doncic scored 41 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists. Another triple-double. Mavericks Warriors 116-113. I'll tell you one thing. That's another dangerous character. And Doncic also has 5 career games with 40 points or more, including the playoffs. He is one dangerous player. Right now, the Blazers are leading the Clippers 39-33 with 8:37 to go in the second quarter. And Simmons has 15 points, and Newkirk has 11 points. Yeah, and the Knicks, well, I hate to say it, but they did a number on your Pistons tonight, 140-110. Sorry.
No defense whatsoever.
Defense? What's that?
Dwayne Casey should go. Dwayne Casey should be fired.
I think after this game, I think it's going to be a given. So the Knicks blasted the Pistons 140-110. Randall had a career night, 36 points and 7 rebounds. Oh, yeah. and Stewart had 19 points. And the Clippers lead the Blazers now 20-18. 2:30 to go in the first quarter. I don't know about you, but I wasn't expecting that kind of a game to happen. Um, with the Knicks, but hey, you know, stranger things happen. All right, so for tomorrow's games, they go like this: the Sixers take on the Cavaliers at 7. The Hawks take on the Magic, or I should say the Tragic, at 7. 7:30, the Heat take on the Celtics. The Wizards take on the Nets. The Bucks take on the Knicks. 8 o'clock, Grizzlies take on the Wolves. The Raptors take on the Pelicans. The Spurs take on the Thunder. All 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock are the Rockets taking on the Nuggets. The Bulls take on the Suns. The Lakers take on the Jazz. 10 o'clock, the Pacers take on the Kings, and the Blazers take on the Lakers at 10:30. So let's go to the standings. I'll do the NHL standings in just a moment. So the standings go this way. Over in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics are 17-4. Yuck. Have a 2-game lead over the Bucks at 14-5. The Cavaliers are 13-8, 4 back. 4.5 back are the Pacers at 12-8, a much improved team. Sixers 13-9, 5 back. The Raptors are 11-9, 6.5 back. The Wizards are 11-10, 6 back, along with the Atlanta Hawks. The Nets are 11-11, 6.5 back, and the Knicks are at 7-10-11. Not bad, but still need some work to do. Further down the list, the Heat are 10-11, 7 back, not bad. Bulls 9-11, 7.5 back. The Hornets 6-15, 11 back. The Tragic, or you call them the Magic, and the Pistons are both 5-16 at. The
5 and
Magic are
18.
5-12 back, and the Pistons are 5-18, 13 back. Yuck!
Yeah, like I said,
How
Dwayne
awful!
Casey has to be fired. Dwayne Casey should be fired.
Fired and deported. Okay, to the West, the Suns
Well, just fired.
14-6.
Not deported, just
Okay.
fired.
Okay.
I wouldn't be that xenophobic. Sounds xenophobic. Gotta be careful. We
Yeah,
apologize for that.
you're right. You're right. Okay, Nuggets 13-7, just a game back. Pelicans 12-8, 2 back, also along with the Memphis Grizzlies, the same record. Clippers 12-9, 2.5 back. The Blazers 11-9, 3 back. The Kings are at 10-9, 3.5 back. The Jazz are 12-11, 3.5 back. The Warriors are 11-10, 4 back, while the Mavericks are also 4 back, but they're at 10-10. Well, of course, I mean, they don't always play the same night and schedules, so that makes a lot of sense. Further down the list, the Wolves are 10-11, 4.5 back. Not bad. Thunder, 8-13, 6.5 back. The Lakers, 7-12, 6.5 back. The Spurs are getting roped at 6-15, 8.5 back. And the Rockets are still grounded at 5-15, 9 back. Whatever happened to them? They used to be so good. I mean, the Rockets, that is. Now, I mean, well, I know it's not the 90s anymore, but still. I mean, when you think, they used to be such a great team and whatnot, and now they're just, it's hard to look at. All right, so the NHL standings go as follows. The Bruins continue their hot year so far. You ready for this, guys? 19-3-0 and 38 points. Eureka. The Leafs are at 33 points at 14-5-5. The Lightning are at 27 points at 13-8-1. Red Wings fairly decent, 11-6-4, 26 points. Panthers, 10-8-4, 24 points. The Canadiens are 23 points at 11-10-1. Sabres, oh boy, 9-12-1, 19 points. Hey, Jack, maybe better return to the Sabres. Probably not. And the Senators, 8-12-1, 17 points. Okay. Over to the Metropolitan. Okay, listen to this, guys. The Devils, 19-4, 38 points. No overtime losses or shootouts. The Islanders. Oh, boy. 15-9-0, 30 points. Eric could be proud of this. Hurricanes, 12-6-5, 29 points. The Pens, 11-8-4, 26 points. The Rangers, help, 10-9-4, 24 points. Capitals, 9-11-3, 21 points. The Flyers, 8-10-5, 21 points. And the Blue Jackets, who are having a miserable season so far, 7-12-2, 16 points.
So much for getting Johnny Goodrow. Eric
Yeah.
Branson is the worst player on the Blue Jackets team and in the league.
Yes. But wait, there are teams that are even worse than that, as in the West.
Yep.
As the Stars lead with 13-6-4, 30 points. The Jets, 14-6-1, 29 points. The Avalanche, 25 points at 12-7-1.
Central Division.
Right. The Wild are 10-9-2, 22 points. Also at 22 points are the Predators with the same record, 10-9-2. The Blues have 22 points at 11-11-0, decent. The Coyotes, well, the Coyotes are still the Coyotes, 7-10-3, 17 points. And the Blackhawks, once again, 6-11-4, 16 points, who are also, once upon a time, a fairly decent team. For crying out loud, you won 3 cups in 7 years. Sheesh.
So high to so low in a few
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yuck. To the Pacific Division, the Knights are 17-6-1, 35 points. The Kraken, 13-5-3, 29 points, and only their second year of existence. The Kings, 12-9-3, 27 points. The Oilers, 12-10-0, 24 points, fairly decent. Flames, 9-9-3, 21 points. Canucks, 9-10-3, 21 points. The game is being played right now, so that'll be changed when the game is over. Sharks, 8-13-4, 20 points. And the Ducks have nothing to quack up about as they are a miserable, lowly, pathetic 6-15-2, 14 points. Wow.
How about the Seattle Kraken of all teams?
Yeah.
My God.
Kind of like the Golden Knights when they first came in.
Their sophomore season.
Yeah. Exactly. But like I said with the when I mentioned with the Golden Knights in their first year, they had a lot of experienced players that were really, shaping up that could be a contending team. The Kraken, I don't think really have anybody that much of experience with that. So, I think this is a complete surprise, with them. So, depending on how you look at it. But it is remarkable that only their second year they are doing this well. You gotta give them that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to give that because that I don't think anybody was expecting after the miserable first year they had, which of course is not unusual to be at the bottom of the totem pole in your first year. But they have really shown them they can compete this year. All right, so as I mentioned, Christian Pulisic assures that he will return in time for Saturday's matchup against the Netherlands, despite an abdominal injury that happened in the first half of today's game. Yeah. Pulisic was involved in injured in a collision with the Iran goalkeeper, Belzervan, shortly before the half, as he tapped in a head cross from Sergio Dest to pull the U.S. to a 1-0 win and earn a spot in the knockout round. The winger from Chelsea said that he will be definitely ready for Saturday's game. Well, so far, yeah, but you guys, he said, don't worry, I'll be ready for it. Yeah, you say that now. Let's see what happens here. Pulisic was on the ground for several minutes following the collision before leaving the field and receiving medical attention from the training staff before coming back to finish the half. Brendan Arnoldson replaced Pulisic in the second half after Pulisic was diagnosed with a pelvic contusion, which sounds a lot worse than it does. But if he says he'll be back, he'll be back. But I have to see it to believe it.
Yep, got to make 100% sure.
Exactly. I mean, you can be confident all you want, but your body's going to tell you how it's going to be. All right, so
Always listen to your body.
yes. So anyway, Minnesota Timberwolves All-Star guard Carl Anthony Towns, or better known as Cat, will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a right calf strain. Sources told ESPN. After fears of a significant injury, which he left after last night's loss to the Wizards, Towns underwent body imaging this afternoon. The expectation for Towns is he'll make a full recovery and return sometime in January. For you UFC fans out there, okay, I know how you're going to like this, but Nate Diaz's time in UFC is over. Well, for now. The longtime UFC fighter and one of the biggest names in MMA has been removed from the roster, according to sources. The final fight of Diaz's contract was against Tony Ferguson at UFC 279 back in September, the 10th to be exact, but UFC still had exclusive window with Diaz now over, according to his representative, Zach Rosenfield. Diaz's team will begin discussions about future fights. Diaz beat Ferguson in a fourth-round submission at UFC 279, leaving UFC on a high note, which is where you want to be. He had been involved in some of the sport's biggest fights. The promotion has been put out in recent years, including a pair of bouts with Jorge Masvidal and the UFC bad boy of all, Conor McGregor. You want to talk about a bad man? That's a bad man. All right. More World Cup news, and this I think is going to be kind of finding disturbing. First up, a Qatari official involved in the organization of the World Cup has put a number of worker deaths related to the tournament between 400 and 500. For the first time, a number that is drastically higher than any previous offered by Doha. The comment was made by Hassan Al Thordi, the Secretary General of Qatar's Supreme Committee, appeared to be an off-the-cuff remark during an interview with British journalist Piers Morgan. Some of you people may know that from CNN and America's Got Talent. Okay. The comment threatened to renew criticism for human rights groups over the toll of hosting the first World Cup in the Middle East, given the migrant workers who built more than $200 billion worth of stadiums, metro lines, and infrastructure needed for the tournament. $200 billion. That's not chump change, A statement made on behalf of Qatar spokesman said today the Secretary General told Morgan's program that there were 3 work-related deaths and 37 non-work-related deaths on the committee for delivery and legacy projects. Still, that's quite a tragedy. All right, well, the World Cup got some controversy in yesterday's game, which I didn't think was controversial, because I think it was legit. But technology in the match used for the World Cup provided conclusively that Cristiano Ronaldo did not make contact with the ball in Portugal's win over Uruguay yesterday. I beg to differ. Portugal did open the scoring in the 54th minute, but the identity of the goal scorer was in doubt. Both Fernando Fernandez and Fernando Santos were unable to clear the post-match on whether or not Ronaldo scored the goal. ESPN told the technology inside the ball proves that Ronaldo's head did not make contact with the ball, and the opening meeting, Fernandez should have gotten credit for the goal. I saw what happened, and it looked like legit that Ronaldo did hit the ball with his head. So I beg to differ on that. But anyway, draw your own conclusions, people. So the update on Towns, he suffered the non-contact injury trying to run down on the floor last night in the game against the Wizards, reaching to grab back his calf and leaving uncertainty about whether he suffered an Achilles injury. Okay. Towns needed help to leave the court for the locker room, but in initial examination suggesting that Towns' imaging upon returning to Minnesota would be unlikely to reveal severe damage. He described the injury as a calf strain and was ruled out for the rest of the game. The end result, the Wolves end up losing to the Wizards. At that time, they dropped to 10-11 on the season. Not bad though. So far for the season, Towns has averaged 21.4 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, and 5.2 assists this season. The Wolves have been trying to make a Towns and Rudy Gobert partnership work on teams' front line, pairing the two All-Stars together. Nets swingman Ben Simmons exited last night's game against the Magic with knee soreness. Here we go again. Simmons, who missed 6 games already this season with the same injury, left in the second quarter. Since his return, after missing a loss to the Lakers, Simmons so far has played his best basketball of the season. An average of 10.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. Simmons finished last night's game with 4 rebounds and 3 assists, but came up empty in the points department. You guessed it, El Zippo. How insulting. No points. Okay, now for something completely weird here. Roy McIlroy says he gave Tiger Woods COVID before the Open in July. That's kind of weird. In an interview with the Sunday Independent, a probably well-respected newspaper over there, McIlroy recounted the circumstances. They said that both him and Tiger contacted COVID before the start of the British Open in July. You cannot call it the Open. McIlroy said he first felt symptoms while playing a tournament in Ireland. The field for the 2-day 36-hole event featured 9 of the top 10 best players in the world, and everybody had COVID, said McIlroy. We played 2 days of golf, and the plan was to play a third day. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition. To move along, I woke up the next day feeling achy, but didn't think much about it. J.P. McManus gave us his chopper, and we went down with my manager, Sean O'Flaherty, and Tigers manager, Rob McNara. We got there fine and then flew back up to Adre for lunch. I was getting up from the table. Then I became sore and stiff, and then wanted to lie down for a nap. I just felt like all day. I wanted to take a nap, and it lasted about 2 hours. I felt like hell all day as his temperature soared up, and had fevers and chills, etc., etc. So both ended up with COVID heading into the Open. Ugh. Boy, maybe you should have skipped the British Open. Ugh. That was just, yeah. But I know how it feels like because I had it back in September. Panthers captain Alexander Barkov will miss the start of a road trip.
Barkov,
said by Coach Paul Maurice yesterday. This is a potential for Barkov to join the Panthers on the road trip, but will miss the first 2 games. He's dealing with a non-COVID illness and was a late scratch in a loss to the Blues. He missed another home loss to the Stars last week, but played in the following 3 games. He missed practice both Friday and Saturday, what Maurice said were side effects from the illness, which he did not say what type of illness it was. So for all we know, it could be anything. The Panthers started on a 5-game road trip last night against the Oilers. The Mavericks signed uh, guard Kemba Walker with the hopes of boosting their backcourt. The Mavericks will waive reserve guard Francisco Capizino, whose contract is non-guaranteed, to create an open spot on the roster for Walker. Walker is a 4-time All-Star, but has been bothered with knee injuries and has become a free agent since being waived by the Pistons last month. He averaged 11.6 points and 3.5 assists in 37 games last season for the Knicks. Ugh, what a shame. Who traded him to the Pistons in efforts for cutting costs that helped create the cap space for New York to sign former Mavericks guard Jalen Brunson in free agency. John Morant completed his first triple-double of the season as fifth of his career on Sunday afternoon against the Knicks at MSG. And he had a problem, although it's not really a serious problem. Morant, who scored 27 points, 14 assists, and 10 rebounds in their win over my Knicks, said he planned on giving his jersey to Derrick Rose after he modeled his game after. However, for the first time in his career, Morant said he asked his dad for his jersey. It was kind of awkward, said Morant, who had planned to give it to Rose. Wait, there's more. I find this quite interesting, to be honest. But after changing to another jersey during the game, he gave that one to his dad after all. As it usually seems for Morant and the Grizzlies, things have worked out, both on and off the court. Even without playing with Desmond Blaine, who is still out with a toe injury, discredited everything the Knicks threw at him throughout the game, playing in a larger role as the Grizzlies made 32 assists in the game before Morant had the game winner with 13.2 seconds left. The Knicks are now 10-11, counting tonight's loss. But before that, they lost 4 of their last 5. Ugh. Not too happy when you're going into that. Well, at least tonight they made up for it. Okay, and Lionel Messi has not yet signed to join Miami of the MLS, despite reports that he has done so, said ESPN. Yesterday, on Sunday, Inter Miami reported that they were confident they could sign the star from Argentina after the World Cup, but sources close to him said a deal is not in place. Messi said in the past he would love to play for Miami, the MLS, but the forward has not decided to think about his soccer future until after the new year and has opted for his focus on the World Cup. Miami could be a big destination for Messi, since he and his family take a vacation there, or as the Europeans call it, a holiday. And also, they have a home there. But sources added the discussions between the two parties are not in the advanced stages at this time. His contract with PSG runs until June of 2023, with the option playing for another year if he chooses so. PSG is hoping to convince Messi to stay another year so they can offer him a competitive team with the potential to win the Champions League, a very high respected league over in that part of Europe. I know because I've seen some matches, and they're pretty intense there. But how soccer fans get in Europe. Ugh. No wonder why they banned alcohol at the World Cup. And okay, so there's a bit of a controversy here with Deion Sanders. They confirmed that he is. Hold on while I get that out of here. I mean, because there were reports that he was going to sign with another program, but there's other person saying that he did not. To be the next coach at Colorado, though he received offers from elsewhere. The Jackson State football coach did not say that he was considering the other offers, including trying to turn on Colorado's football program, which is a trash heap. Sanders did not specify in a teleconference for the SWAC championship game participants who else reached out besides Colorado, saying, "I'm not going to sit here and tell all my business," but they're not the only ones. The university has not commented on any candidates to replace Carl Dorrell, who was fired in mid-October. Interim coach Mike Sanford finished the Colorado Buffalo season at a dismal 1-11. Ugh, now that's awful. 1-11. Only Rutgers has done worse than that. And incidentally, the Netherlands finished the top in their group, and the U.S. Finished second in Group B for regular through group play. The Bucks ruled out running back Leonard Fournette. They did rule him out for the game against the Browns. Fournette suffered a hip injury in the previous game 2 weeks ago, and the Bucks took a cautious approach as they did not play him in the last game. Rookie Richard White led the Bucks in rushing with 105 yards on 22 carries in their win over the Seahawks. So they finished third. Okay, so England finished with 4 points. Iran with 3 points, as they had England had two wins. Sorry, had 2 wins and 1 draw. Iran had 3 points. The U.S., who had 2 ties and 1 win, had 2 points. And Wales, well, they didn't win any games. They tied 1 and they lost 1 and ended up with 1 point. So we can see where they're going to be. Out. All right, moving along. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford entered a concussion protocol and did not play against the Chiefs on Sunday. Obvious reasons why. After suffering a neck injury, said by Coach Sean McVay. McVay said Stafford was feeling numbness in his legs after taking a hit in Week 11 by the Saints, a game played just 2 days after being cleared of concussion protocol. Stafford was in protocol as a result of the evaluations and because he was pulled from the game. Yeah, it's amazing how they were Super Bowl champs at that, and now it's just ugh. Okay, Eagles safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson will be sidelined with a lacerated kidney, a league source confirmed. That's pretty serious. A decision to place him on injury reserve has yet to be determined. A source added as they work on a timetable for his return. Johnson was injured in the first quarter in Sunday's game against the Packers following a collision up the middle with Packers receiver Christian Watson. He was doubled over in pain as he left the field before being carted inside and did not return. Ugh. To continue, that's pretty serious, guys. Johnson was replaced by Reed Blankenship, who intercepted Aaron Rodgers in the red zone in the Eagles' victory over the Packers. The NFL Network was first to report on the story. Okay. The leaders of the college football playoff issued a Wednesday deadline to determine if the CFP can expand in time for the 2024 season, which I think is highly unlikely. And if the game's most historic bowl can't agree on terms, it's possible that it could be excluded from the New Year's Six bowl rotation in the next contract, sources say. You're going to take away the granddaddy of them all from the New Year's Six? Please. We won a Rose Bowl, a source said. We have a good partnership with the six bowls that we are affiliated with. We want and we do want to continue with that. I hope the Rose Bowl will be a part of that, but there is no guarantee of that. If the playoff does not expand by the time by 2024, they will lose 450 million in potential revenue. Oh, this is mounting pressure to make a decision this week, and it could have been as early as today. While while the Rose Bowl is a position in an expansion playoff is not only the only hurdle that allowed its process, it is the last and most complicated step. The discussion centered around one of the most lucrative television windows in college sports. Hmm, obviously. Um, Chairperson of the Rose Bowl Management Committee, Laura Faber, told ESPN earlier this month that the game wanted to maintain their exclusive broadcast window on January 1st, 2 p.m. local time, 5 p.m. here, in years where it would have served as a playoff semi-final. The Rose Bowl was looking to temporarily concede their relationship with the Pac-12 to host a quarterfinal game in 2024 and 25, but in return asked for assurances in the new contract. There is no contract in place beyond the current 12-year deal that expires in 2025. Ugh. I've always enjoyed the Rose Bowl on New Year's. That's a tradition. And now you want to ruin it. Yeah, yeah, dirty, no good. All right. Melvin Gordon, who was released from the Broncos after a series of costly fumbles, uh, could be playing against his former team soon. Gordon was signed to the practice squad of the Chiefs yesterday, said by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. The Chiefs and Broncos, who are division rivals in the AFC West, will meet twice this season. First in Week 14, which is not that far away, and then in Week 17. Gordon, a two-time Pro Bowler, is now his 8th season in the league. He played his first 5 seasons with the Chargers, followed by the past 2.5 seasons with the Broncos. His numbers stack up as follows: 6,462 rushing yards, 55 touchdowns, while catching 309 passes with 14 touchdowns, with his best year being with the Chargers back in 2017. As for this year, he has rushed 318 yards while catching 25 passes in 10 games. On the flip side of that, he fumbled 5 times, and the Broncos released him after his last one against the Raiders in Week 11. Rookie Isaiah Poncho leads the Chiefs with 455 rushing yards, and also running back Jake McKinnon is 4th on the team with 29 catches. So you have the good, the bad, and oh yeah, you got the ugly too. Boy, that's ugly. Okay. Michigan quarterback Cade
McNamara.
Has entered the transfer portal as a graduate transfer. McNamara was the 253rd prospect of the 2019 class who originally committed to Notre Dame before heading to Michigan. He did not see any game action his first season with Shane Patterson as the starter, but played in 4 of the 10 games after replacing Joe Milton. McNamara threw for 425 yards and 5 touchdowns and not a single interception in a season that was interrupted by COVID restrictions, or as I call it, you know what. He held on to the starting job in 2021 despite the addition of J.J. McCarthy, a former ESPN 300 prospect. Last season, McNamara led Michigan to the Big Ten title under Jim Harbaugh, leading them to a berth in the CFB playoff. And wait, there's more. In 14 games, he has thrown 2,576 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Well, that part could be a little bit lower. 6 interceptions. You know, Hugh Freeze has agreed to become Auburn's next football coach, according to ESPN. An official announcement, I believe, has been made already. Freeze spent the last 4 seasons at Liberty, where he took the Flames to new heights for their football program. Liberty is not known for its, outstanding football program, as most people know. He is regarded as one of the top offensive minds in college football. This is the second time he will coach in the SEC after coaching Ole Miss from 2012 to 2016 and beat Alabama in back-to-back seasons in 2014 and 2015 and led Ole Miss to a Sugar Bowl victory for the first time since 1970. But in weeks leading up to the 2017 season, Freeze resigned from Ole Miss after officials discovered they made a series of calls to multiple numbers associated with a female escort service. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, Ole Miss was placed on probation in 2017 by the NCAA for violations that occurred under Freeze and they were banned from bowl competition for 2 years. Freeze was cited by the NCAA Committee on Infractions for failure to monitor his assistant coaches, and the school's boosters did not receive a showcase penalty and prompted an atmosphere of compliance that, according to the report of the NCAA. New Auburn athletic director John Cohen, who was hired on October 31st, narrowed his choices down to Lane Kiffin and Freeze, but Kiffin on Saturday said he was staying at Ole Miss after signing a new deal that's worth $9 million per season. For that kind of money, I wouldn't turn it down either. Freeze replaces David Harrison, who was fired 2 days after a home loss to Arkansas on October 29th. Freeze signed a new 8-year deal with Liberty, though, on October 5th, in October for $5 million per season, making him the highest paid Group 5 coaches, as well as one of the top 5. And yet you leave anyway. Yeah. Freeze took Liberty to a new level as he gave the school their first ever national ranking, and with their first wins over both an ACC and SEC school.
A Virginia player took something right in his face. Ouch.
Jose Abreu reached a new agreement on a 3-year deal. Source on ESPN. Abreu won the AL MVP in 2020. That adds another run-producing bat to the World Series champs lineup, much to my dismay. After struggling the first 5 weeks of the season, Abreu became one of the best hitters in the majors despite only hitting 15 home runs, but he did bat an average of .335. When you look at the lineup here they got, well, it's a solid one. That includes Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Alex Bergen, and MVP Jeremy Pena. Oh, boy. I don't think you can go wrong with a lineup like that, but still, makes me sick. Abreu replaces Yuri Gurnell, who is a longtime rival in the Cuban League, along with Yoenis Cespedes, who are both regarded as the best players in their generation in their homeland. Now, let's see how you do this season, buddy. Yeah, and there's going to be a change in the college basketball next year as the ACC and SEC will take part together in a challenge, and that replaces the ACC Big Ten Challenge, which has been going on for quite some time. This is in both the men's and women's conferences that begins next season. The ACC SEC Challenge will feature 28 games across both men's and women's games through the 2025-26 season when Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC. Should be something to think about. But I mean, all these schools switching conferences, it gets a little bit, confusing and monotonous. And I'll just leave it at that. All right, so my report is done, so I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, testing here. Um,
Mm.
all right, well, that ends True Sports episode 26. I'm Taylor Phillips, along with Louis Tenore. Hope this episode holds up without any trouble. Um,
Mm.
before we go, follow my other show, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram at Michigan_Truth. Like its Facebook page and subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, and follow it on Spreaker in audio form. True Sports is a presentation of and production of Phillips Media, TTFN, Tata for now. Power of the people, Hino and the Hind, case closed.
Good night.